EuroKitchen is Anna's kitchen, but it's your kitchen and it's everybody's kitchen. If you want to try a place where the food's finger licking, just come on in to the EuroKitchen. Anna's always cooking food that looks and smells so good. It's fine cuisine from all corners of the world, right in your neighborhood. It's Italian dinners and Portuguese fare. It's Francais food with a European flair. You can stop right there with all your channels switching and pull up a chair in the EuroKitchen. Anna's EuroKitchen.
Hi, I'm Anna Marie and welcome to this edition of EuroKitchen. If you love caprese salad, you are going to love this show. What I did is I took the ingredients from the caprese salad, which is mozzarella, fresh basil and tomatoes, and I made it into a pasta dish, which is so good. We're going to actually bake them in individual ramekin dishes if you have these. These are about 6 ounces. I wanted to show you today, I love using an individual scale for measuring stuff out, especially if you're single or you're home alone and cooking. You don't want to cook a lot of stuff, you just want to have that portion size. But I'm going to give you the ingredients first for this. This is a really easy dish, you're going to love it. So you're going to need 2 cups of grape tomatoes, which are the small tomatoes that I have over here. They have a lot of flavor, and when you broil them like I'm going to broil them, they get really sweet. You're going to need 4 tablespoons of extra virgin olive oil, 6 ounces of penne. You can use any type of pasta you want, but you're going to see in this dish the penne works really well for the ramekins. We're going to need 5 teaspoons of flour, 1 3/4 cups of cream, a teaspoon of kosher salt, half a teaspoon of kosher salt, half a teaspoon of black pepper, 3 ounces of mozzarella cheese that I'm going to shred, 1 1/2 ounce of Parmesan Reggiano cheese shredded, a half a cup of fresh torn basil. If you don't have fresh basil, you can use the dried basil. Just make sure when you use dried herbs, you want to use less. It's a little bit more pungent than the fresh basil, so you'll use it just a little bit less for that. We're going to use panko breadcrumbs, non-stick spray, about 1/8 teaspoon of crushed pepper, which is your red Italian pepper that's already dried, so we're going to use that. If you don't like it or someone doesn't want it, you don't have to put it in. It's just going to be on the topping. So I'm going to get started. I'm going to show you. I already have my water over here on. I'm going to put a little bit of olive oil and salt in it. The salt will help it boil a little bit faster, and then the olive oil just keeps the pasta from cooking. So we're going to put just about a teaspoon of olive oil in there. Nice extra virgin olive oil. And put a little bit of salt. You can use kosher salt or table salt. So we're going to add that. And I'm going to put my heat back on. And so while that comes to a boil, we're going to go over and do our tomatoes. So about 2 cups of tomatoes. I love these little cherub tomatoes that you can get, and it's so easy because you just lift the top off and they come right out. So you just want to slice these lengthwise, and then like I said, we're going to go ahead and drizzle olive oil on them and some salt and pepper and put them under the broiler. And they only have to stay under the broiler for about 3 minutes, but what you're going to find is when you broil them, it really brings out the sweetness in them. I remember my mom used to tell me when they were in Italy, they would make their own tomato paste. They would take their tomatoes and they used to put them out on bed sheets. Can you believe that? As a screen. And they would let the sun dry them in Italy, and then they would put them in a crock with olive oil, and that would be their tomato paste. Okay, so now that I have these cut, I'm going to throw away my container, and I'm going to get my cookie sheet. And what I would like about this is I wanted to show you something. I love this new Reynolds wrap that they have out. It's the non-stick. This is so much better than having to spray your aluminum foil all the time so it doesn't stick. It already comes with a non-stick coating. I already measured out 6 ounces of pasta. Like I was telling you, if you're a single person or you live by yourself, some people say, oh, I don't know how you cook for yourself. You know, it's really easy. If I make my stuff on Sunday, I can go ahead and do it. Because if I come home at night, I'm not going to want to just cook for myself. So I put that in. I'm going to give this a nice stir. I already have my salt in here and my olive oil. I just want that to come to a nice boil. So while that's cooking, I'm going to quick show you this scale. You can pick these scales up anywhere. I actually picked this one up at Walmart. They're so cheap, but they're so helpful when it comes to weighing stuff out. It goes in digital. You can do ounces, you can do metric. This one I do the ounces. So when it says 6 ounces for ramekin, I just wanted to show you. This is a normal 6 ounce one. When I weigh it, it comes out to 5.5, but I know it's close to 6. Then you get the ones that are larger, and you're like, oh, is this, does it say a cup on it or whatever? I always weigh them. These ramekins alone, These go up to about 8 ounces. So you really want to be careful. That's why I always use this little scale, and you just shut it off on the bottom. So we've got that going. I'm going to bring my tray over, and I'm going to put my cherry tomatoes on here. Just put my cherry tomatoes on the cookie sheet. And then what I like to do is I'm going to take my olive oil, and you just want to drizzle it over the top. It's nothing that you have to measure out. So I'm going to just sprinkle this over the top of them. I myself don't like tomatoes. I can't eat a whole tomato, but when they're cooked, I can eat them. So this will be great, especially where they're broiled. Now I just want to put a little bit of salt over the top of them, just for flavor. And then what I do is I just make sure that they're all coated with the olive oil. And then spread them out, because we're going to put them under the broiler. And you just want to keep them under there for about 3 minutes till you see they start to break a little bit. So put these in. These are the tomato part of our caprese salad. I took out the mozzarella and the Parmesan, and I weighed it last night on the scale. So I have 1.5 ounces of the Parmesan cheese, and then I have my mozzarella. I use the buffalo mozzarella. And I'm just going to grate them together. What's nice is when you have the Parmesan or Reggiano cheese and you end up with that rind, don't throw it away. I put it in my sauces. Sometimes I put it in my soups. Just remember to take it out afterwards, but it gives it such good flavor. So I'm just going to grate these. So this is my Parmesan cheese that I'm doing first. And you're going to love this. This is such a good meal, especially if you're having company or the kids, and they look so cute in the little ramekins. I have to tell you, we had my daughter Jenna's baby shower 2 weeks ago. She's due with her first child, little girl, in April. We had such a good time, and the color for her theme was like a mint green, pink, and a gold. There's so much stuff out there that matched it. It was beautiful. A lot of stuff came from that website, Etsy's, I believe it's called. And just a good time. All of her college friends were there and friends from town. So I can't believe I'm going to be a Nona again, because my little Mia is like an old lady. She's already 6 years old, and she's so funny. She went on her school vacation to the Girls and Boys Club for Derry for the week. And I always call it the Y. And I said, Mia, how is the Y? She goes, Nona, when are you going to get it? It's the Boys and Girls Club. And I thought, she's like an old lady. She's not a little girl anymore. So I'm looking forward to having a new little baby. Now we're going to take the mozzarella. I'm keeping an eye on my pasta. And I just want to get this grated. I'm just going to run it down the grater. You can do this in the food processor, however you like it. But I love the fresh mozzarella. It really gives this dish a great taste, because the caprese salad is just sliced tomatoes, fresh mozzarella, basil, and olive oil. Sometimes you can put balsamic vinegar on it. So I thought, hey, why not make this into a pasta? And I wanted to tell you we have good news. We have a new sponsor on our show, Bella Viaggio, which is the salon in Wyndham. They have a new location on 28 in Wyndham, and they're going to be one of our sponsors, so we're all excited about that. Okay, so we have this done. Let's check on our tomatoes. We don't want to get them burned. Okay, I'm going to stir these a little bit. You can see they're already starting to get a little black on the top, which is perfect. So I'm just going to turn these around and spread them out. And let's put them back in there. The tomatoes should be in there about 3 minutes, just until they start to break and get a little bit of brown on them. Black. Oh, these are perfect. See how nice they are? They almost look like they're dried tomatoes. The pasta we're going to actually drain and then put it right back in the pan, but I want to turn the heat off. So we're going to drain this. I'm going to let the tomatoes cool a little bit. Now we're going to make our sauce. So I'm going to put my heat on. I'm going to start it off on high. I'm going to tell you the ingredients for that. What I'm going to do is melt a little bit of olive oil, 2 teaspoons of olive oil. So I'll get that in the pan, because it was 4 teaspoons altogether. I put 2 in the water, put some with my olive oil, and I'm going to put the rest in here. Okay, and what I want to do is take my garlic. And what I like to do is I like to buy the garlic in the jar, because it takes forever to keep crushing them. These are really good, and I want to let you know the equivalent for this. If you use a half a teaspoon, it's equal to 1 clove of garlic, and that's what I need. So I'm going to get half a teaspoon. And this will last forever in your refrigerator. This is so good. So we'll put that right in. Okay, just get a little spoon here. All right. I don't want to burn my garlic, so I'm just going to stir it in the olive oil. And when you start to smell that really good flavor of the garlic, you know that it's time to remove it from the heat. Okay, so that's done there. So I'm going to take that off the heat. Now, I have my little ramekins. I just want to spray them with some cooking spray. Just a non-stick cooking spray, just so they, the cheese and that doesn't stick to them. So I'm using 4 of them. Now what I'm going to do is, I've got the olive oil and the garlic. I want to add my flour. And I believe it's 5 tablespoons of flour, yeah. So we're going to take our flour. We're going to add it right to the pot on the stove. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. This is going to be our sauce. So it's going to start off like a roux, like you usually have the butter and the flour and the salt, and then you add your flour to it. That's what this is going to be. So I'm going to switch from the spoon, and I'm going to use my whisk. I'm going to put it back on the heat, and I just want to get this all combined really nice. And you're going to see sometimes it'll start to form into like little peas in that with the flour and the butter. And you really want to cook this for a little bit because you want to get that flour taste out of your sauce from the flour. And then I'm going to add the cream. Once I add the cream, this is what it looks like. So you'll see it starts to get like form like little peas. Once I add the cream, that's going to get all incorporated. I'll remove it from the heat, and then I'm going to add my cheeses. All right, so I'm just stirring this around. And over in this pot, we have the pasta that we drain. The heat is off the pasta. Okay, so now I'm going to add my cream. It's 1 3/4 cups of cream. Okay, and you want to get this to it's really, really thick. And by putting this flour in here, I'm going to whisk it around until it gets really, really thick. Okay. So this is bubbling away, but you want to make sure that you stir it really, really well. See how it is? I'm going to take it from the heat for a little bit. Make sure that I get all that flour incorporated. I don't want any lumps. Okay, it's getting nice and thick. Make sure I get all that flour in there. I'm going to add a little bit more cream. Okay. So that was 1 3/4 cups. I'm going to put it back on the heat. I want to get it nice and thick again. And then I'll add my cheeses. I love fresh mozzarella, whether it's on a salad or broiled or on a pizza. So, so good. And it's always nice to buy the fresh ones. Don't get the ones that are already shredded. You don't want that. You can do it yourself. And it's cheaper when you buy it that way too. Just let it come up to a boil again, which it's doing right now. Give it one more nice pass, and then I'm going to take it off the heat and I'm going to add the cheeses. So this was the Parmigiano Reggiano and the mozzarella. Oh, it's going to be so good. And you really don't have to add any salt to this because there's a lot of salt in your cheeses. So I just want to get this all combined so that cheese, oh, it's so good. This would be so good to make a mac and cheese with this. Hey, there's a new idea, mac and cheese with, this would be awesome. Look how thick that is. That's exactly how you want it. Get all your cheese combined. Okay, so now what we do is we're going to bring our star of the show, our pasta, to the front. I'm going to switch from this whisk. Get any on there that's... And we're going to use our other spoon, and we're going to pour it. Look at that beautiful sauce. Oh, that looks so good. We're going to get that right in there. Okay. Now, I want to stir that all around so that my pasta and cheese is all combined. Then we're going to add our tomatoes. I guess this would qualify us as a comfort food dish. Okay. All right, so I have my pasta nice and coated. I'm just going to put them inside. They're already all seasoned with the salt and pepper and the virgin olive oil. Oh, it's going to taste so good. I don't know why I don't like whole tomatoes. People ask me that all the time. I think it's the years that I spent canning tomatoes with my mother when I was little. My job was the one where you had to put the tomatoes in the hot water. Then when they would burst, I had to take the skin off. I think just the smell of that, I don't like them. I can eat them stewed. I can eat ketchup. I can eat them on a pizza, just not a whole tomato. So let me get this all combined in here. Oh, so good. Look how nice that is. What a pretty color too from the tomatoes. All right, so I got that all mixed. Now, what we do is, when we have it all mixed, what I want to do is I want to fill each one of these with some of my pasta, and then I'm going to put the panko crumbs and the red pepper on top. This is going to be so good. Okay, so that's one of them. I'm going to do 3 more. It's okay if you fill them all the way to the top like that, that's fine. Okay, this is my 4th one. I actually think I can get a 5th one out of this, so I'm going to fill one more up. But I love the penne pasta with this. It's so good. A little bit more. Okay. So we'll do one more. There's plenty of it left. And this was just 6 ounces of pasta. That's not a lot. Okay. Let's get all this goodness out here. Put it in here. Kelly, this one's going to be for your husband. We made him a big one. And I have to tell you how proud I am of my producer. Guess what she made? She made polenta for her family and her brother. I'm so proud of her. Because, you know, a lot of times I think we're afraid to try new stuff. But like I always said, I always tried something new and served it to company. And my mother used to say to me, "Why are you doing that? You've never even tried it before." I said, "And neither have they, so they're not going to know if it's right or wrong." So she did a great job. I'm proud of her. Okay, so we have our pastas, and now what we want to do is we want to take our panko breadcrumbs, 3 tablespoons, but you can eye this. So panko breadcrumbs is just Japanese breadcrumbs. I'm going to put a little bit on top of each one. Oh, this looks so good. Okay, now I'm not going to use fresh basil, but you can. I'm actually going to use my dried basil. I think it gives a little bit more flavor. And what I like to do is I rub it between my hands to release the oils. And I'm going to put those right on top. Get a little bit more. Just put that on top. And we're going to put these right in the oven. And I've got the broiler on. So we're going to put these in the oven just for a few minutes. You just want to get that cheese all golden on top. About 3 minutes and it should be done. Oh my gosh, look how beautiful they are. They smell so good. I wish you were here. I always talk about smell-o-vision, and somebody better invent it soon. This smells so good with the tomatoes and the mozzarella and the Parmesan and that basil. And what you could do is, if you didn't have, if you didn't want to put the fresh basil in, you could garnish it with a nice fresh basil leaves. That way people know the ingredient that's in there. So you could use any type of pasta. I like to use the penne because I think it fits better in here than like a rigatoni or a spiral. So we use the penne pasta, 6 ounces. We boiled it in the salted water. Then we drained it. After it drained, we put it back in the pan. In a separate little sauce pot, I put a little bit of olive oil, 2 teaspoons, a half a teaspoon of crushed garlic. I let that saute for a little bit. When you start to smell the garlic, you know that it's done. Pull the pan away. Then we put in the flour, made a little roux. After we did that, we put in 1 3/4 cups of heavy cream. Let that get really thick. Then we added the mozzarella and the Parmigiano Reggiano cheese. When that was done, we added our fresh tomatoes that we sliced and broiled with the olive oil and salt and pepper to the tomatoes. So everything was kind of in one pot. We put our sauce in there, stirred it all together. Spray your ramekins with some nonstick spray, and then we topped it with panko breadcrumbs, which is just a Japanese breadcrumb, and basil. You can use fresh basil. I use the dried, so I used a little bit less than that. This is our final product. I'm so excited to try this. I think you guys are going to really, really like this. You've got the tomatoes, the mozzarella, the Parmesan, the cream sauce. This is so good. You are gonna love this. The pasta is so creamy. I gotta take another bite. You're gonna love this. If you love caprese salad, you're gonna love this pasta dish. So stay tuned and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.